Everybody's been talking about Will Howard, and honestly, it's not hard to see why. He's got that rare combination of charisma and talent that just makes people root for him. When you watch the way he led Ohio State to the college football championship, you can't help but think, yeah, this kid's got it. He's confident, he's tough, and when the lights are the brightest, he seems to shine even more. And here in Pittsburgh, folks were excited to see what he could bring to the Steelers, even if the coaching staff had a more measured plan in mind. But now, after an unfortunate twist at training camp, that entire plan may be on pause, or possibly even off the table entirely. It all unraveled during what looked like a simple quarterback-center exchange. Zach Frazier snapped the ball, Howard took it, and something about the timing or grip fell off. In real time, it didn't look like much. He rolled out to his right, launched a dart to Jaylen Warren, perfectly placed textbook footwork, sharp release, but then as he started shaking out his throwing hand, something looked wrong. It wasn't dramatic, but it was concerning. He winced, shook his fingers, tried to play it off. People on the sideline assumed maybe he'd just taken a stinger. Quarterbacks jam fingers all the time. But minutes later, he was walking off Chuck Noll Field. And by the end of the day, he was out of camp with a busted finger. Now look, a broken finger doesn't end a quarterback's career. It's not an ACL, it's not a throwing shoulder. Howard will recover. He's already throwing again in limited settings. But the way this has impacted his immediate future with the team goes beyond the injury itself. According to sources, the Steelers are planning to place him on injured reserve. That move could happen anytime now. And what that means depends heavily on whether they tag him with a designation to return or not. If Howard goes on IR with the designation to return, he'll be eligible to come back in 4 weeks. That's not a long time in the grand scheme of the NFL season. But if he's placed on standard IR without that tag, he's essentially shut down for the year. It would mean a full redshirt season in every sense of the word. And that's where this gets tricky, because when Howard was drafted in the 6th round, the team's own leadership made it clear that this was always intended to be a developmental year. Art Rooney even said it in an interview. Howard was not drafted to compete for a role in the 2025 season. He was drafted to learn, to sit, to grow. So technically, the team could just keep him on IR all season and not deviate at all from the original plan. But here's the catch. If you go that route, and he doesn't have the designation to return, he can't practice. Not with the first team, not with the scout team, not at all. He'd be confined to meetings, film study, and mental reps. That's not nothing, but it's not the same as being on the field. And for a young quarterback trying to adapt to NFL speed, the lack of live reps can be a killer. There's no substitute for lining up under center and throwing in real-time situations. So that path, while conservative and perhaps safer from a roster management standpoint, comes with significant drawbacks. Now flip it. Let's say they do activate him after 4 weeks. Howard would become the third-string quarterback by default. That means the team would have to move on from Skylar Thompson in some form, either cutting him outright or trying to stash him on the practice squad. It also means your number 3 quarterback for the rest of the year would be a guy you already decided isn't going to play a meaningful snap in 2025. So is there real value in having him out there? Sure, he could run the scout team, mimic opponents in practice, and get reps that way. And to be fair, for a young guy like Howard, those reps can be incredibly valuable. Better than nothing, for sure. But it's not the same as getting time with the starters, not the same as being prepped as the next man up. This is the tough part about the NFL. Roster spots are precious. Every decision has ripple effects. And for the Steelers, who are expected to take a quarterback early in next year's draft, possibly with a top pick, the writing might already be on the wall. There's going to be a new face in Pittsburgh, a fresh first-round pick with all the hype and media buzz that comes with it. Picture the moment. Draft night, live from the North Shore, the commissioner steps to the podium, reads out the name, and the crowd erupts. Black and gold everywhere. That new quarterback walks out onto the stage, gets the bro hug from Roger Goodell, waves to the crowd. You can already hear the chant. Here we go, Steelers. It's going to be electric. And in that moment, let's be honest, nobody's going to be thinking about Will Howard. And that's tough, because Howard's done nothing wrong. He's done everything the team has asked. He's put in the work, taken the hits, absorbed the playbook, and even in a limited camp appearance, showed off that big arm and poise that got people excited in the first place. But this is how fast the league moves. The quarterback room doesn't wait. You miss a month, or even just a few weeks, and suddenly the opportunity window starts closing. Especially if there's a new face coming in that's expected to be the future of the franchise. Howard might go from next up to afterthought without ever getting a chance to step on the field in a regular season game. And we've seen this kind of story before. Talented young quarterbacks, late-round picks, even undrafted guys who showed flashes in preseason or camp, only to get caught up in the churn of the NFL machine. Injuries, timing, depth chart politics, they all matter more than fans sometimes realize. It's not just about talent. It's about being healthy at the right time, showing out when the reps come, and earning trust from coaches who are under pressure to win right now. Howard didn't get that window. Not yet, anyway. What makes it more frustrating is that everything about Howard screams gamer. Go back to his film at Ohio State. That game against Notre Dame, the calm in the pocket, the decisions under pressure, the perfectly placed throws. That's not luck. That's poise. That's reps. That's preparation. You don't fake that stuff on the biggest stage. But now, that performance feels like it was a lifetime ago. Because in the NFL, what you did in college only buys you so much time. Once you're in the league, it's about what you do here. What you do now. And unfortunately for Howard, his now has been delayed. What happens next? That's the million-dollar question. If he's placed on IR with a return designation, he'll have a window to work his way back. Practice reps with the scout team, film work, mental reps, all of that will keep him engaged. And if injuries hit the quarterback room, which, let's be honest, happens every year, he could find himself bumped up sooner than expected. But if the team opts to stash him for the full season, it's going to be a long wait. A wait that leads directly into a draft class that will almost certainly bring in someone to leapfrog him on the depth chart. That's the brutal business side of this game. Development doesn't always mean opportunity. Sometimes development is just a placeholder, a way to keep a guy in the building until someone better comes along. But let's stretch this out into what could come next, not just from the team's perspective, but from Howard's own point of view. Because even if the public focus shifts toward the next highly drafted quarterback, well, Howard isn't just going to vanish into thin air. He's still in that locker room. He's still learning, still throwing, still doing the mental work. And that matters, maybe not to the headlines, but to the coaches who are paying attention and tracking progress day to day, not just once a season when the cameras are on. There's a very real path where Howard's story takes a slow burn kind of arc. One where development means growth instead of waiting in vain. He has the physical tools. That's never been in question. He's got size, arm strength, and a quick enough release to compete at the pro level. What he lacks is live reps, and that's where the broken finger, simple as it seems, creates a compound problem. Every week of missed practice time is another week lost in his race to catch up with the speed and complexity of NFL defenses. So when the calendar flips and OTA sessions return, if he's healthy, he'll need to treat that moment like it's his training camp all over again. The sense of urgency will be tenfold, because this time, he won't just be learning, he'll be fighting to be remembered. What could help him in this uphill climb is the nature of quarterback development itself. Unlike most positions, quarterback is as much about preparation as it is about performance. It's about reading defenses, making pre-snap adjustments, understanding protections, managing the clock, leading in the huddle, and knowing when to throw a 5-yard check down instead of forcing something downfield. Howard has already shown that he can lead. He did it in college in pressure-filled moments. But the difference between college and the NFL is not just the size of the players or the complexity of the playbook. It's the pace at which things fall apart when you're even slightly off. So his first real mission will be proving that he can process at that speed, that he can be a stabilizer, even in chaos. And say he does come back fully healthy. Say the team gives him reps in practice, maybe even preseason action next summer. The wild card here is what happens with the rest of the quarterback room. If the Steelers take a quarterback in the first round, as many expect, that player is going to get all the attention and most of the developmental reps. But let's not pretend that guarantees success. For every first-round star, there's a bust. And sometimes the guy who gets buried for a year is the one who quietly puts in the work, learns the system, then explodes when finally given a chance. Howard could be that guy. He's not flashy. He's not loud. But that doesn't mean he lacks fire. It just means he hasn't had the spotlight yet. The other thing to keep in mind is the system the Steelers are building. If the offensive coordinator is leaning toward a more traditional structure, a balanced run-pass scheme with layered progressions and high demands on pre-snap recognition, then someone like Howard, who has a sharp football IQ and calm under pressure, could thrive. Especially if the game plan doesn't require him to be a backyard improviser or off-platform magician. He's more of a structured quarterback. Give him protection, clear reads, and rhythm throws, and he'll deliver. He might not give you the jaw-dropping play on 3rd and 12, but he might give you 8 straight completions, and sometimes that's more valuable. What makes his situation so fragile is how easily the league forgets. If a rookie QB comes in and plays well immediately, Howard's chances narrow. If that same rookie struggles but shows promise, the team is likely to double down. It's rare to find organizations willing to admit they might have overlooked someone deeper down the chart, especially when they've invested high capital in someone else. That means Howard's window, whenever it opens, might be brief and unforgiving. He has to be ready, not just to play, but to make an undeniable impression the first time he touches the ball. That's a heavy ask, but that's the NFL. And still, there are stories every season of quarterbacks who wait, get their chance, and never look back. Think of names like Brock Purdy, passed over, underestimated, and now a starter. He didn't just fall into that role. He prepared like a starter before he ever took a snap. That's what Howard needs to channel. He needs to prepare like he's going to play, even if he knows he won't. Because when the opportunity comes, and it will eventually, how he responds could define not just the Steelers' career, but whether he gets one at all in this league. The mental grind is real. Howard is not just dealing with physical rehab. He's dealing with the psychological weight of being sidelined before even taking a meaningful snap. Every day, he watches teammates gear up, and hit the field without him is a test. Every meeting where he's listening instead of leading is a test. And while fans may forget his name by the time the next shiny rookie arrives, the coaches won't. Because they're watching for different things: professionalism, persistence, command of the system, attitude in adversity. That's where Howard still has value, and where he still has a shot. Let's also not overlook how the locker room plays in all this. Teammates talk. They know who grinds, who complains, who shows up early, who fades into the background. But even if the team drafts high, even if Howard gets pushed back in the line, there's still value in being in the building. Because one thing the NFL proves every season is that depth matters. Quarterback rooms rarely stay healthy from week 1 to week 18. And even if Howard never becomes the long-term starter in Pittsburgh, he can absolutely build a career in this league. Teams are always looking for smart, capable backups. Guys who know systems, stay ready, don't make headlines, and come in when needed. That may not be what fans dream of when they think about their favorite college quarterback, but it's a living. It's a job. And for a lot of guys, it becomes a really good one. Well, Howard's journey is far from over. But what we're seeing now is how unpredictable that journey can be. It's one injury, one training camp twist, and suddenly the story shifts. He came in with intrigue, with buzz, with fans dissecting college film and projecting his future. And now he's in limbo. But limbo doesn't mean done. It means waiting. It means preparing. It means that the next chapter will depend entirely on how he uses this time. That's not glamorous. It won't be talked about on sports shows. But that's the work that separates those who make it from those who don't. And if you're a fan who believed in Will Howard from the jump, you haven't been proven wrong. You've just been asked to wait a little longer. Because development takes time. And sometimes the hardest part of believing in someone is holding that belief when no one else is talking about them. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. The streets of Pittsburgh erupted into an unprecedented spectacle yesterday as news broke that ODELL Beckham Jr., one of the most electrifying wide receivers of his generation, had arrived in the Steel City, sparking an immediate frenzy among Steelers fans. From the moment his jet touched down, the air seemed charged with excitement, as onlookers flooded social media with videos and live updates capturing every step of the NFL star through the airport. Rumors have been circulating for weeks about a potential move, but few expected the timing or the sheer intensity of the reception. Fans, adorned in black and gold, gathered at the terminal, waving flags, chanting Beckham's name, and snapping endless photos, as if every snapshot might capture the first signs of a historic era in Pittsburgh football. The Steelers' front office, tight-lipped until now, seemed to confirm the whispers with subtle nods and carefully crafted statements, fueling the anticipation even further. Conversations in local bars, online forums, and even casual street corners turned toward speculation about how Beckham's arrival could alter the dynamics of the team, the offense, and perhaps the entire AFC landscape. It was more than just a player signing. It felt like the city itself had been electrified, united in awe and hope, waiting to witness the next chapter in Steelers lore. As the sun set over Heinz Field, the buzz didn't die down, only intensified, leaving a tangible sense of expectation hanging over Pittsburgh. Inside Steelers headquarters, insiders and staff reportedly could barely keep their composure, balancing between excitement and a professional facade, knowing that Beckham's potential contract could shift everything about the team's offensive strategy. Coaches were seen reviewing playbooks with fresh intensity, imagining how to incorporate Beckham's unmatched agility, route-running precision, and explosive catching ability into game plans that had long relied on different dynamics. While official announcements were still pending, the sheer presence of Beckham in Pittsburgh had already triggered speculation on every level, from ticket sales and merchandise to media coverage and fantasy football projections. Sports analysts and commentators could barely contain their own excitement, appearing on air to dissect the possible implications of this rumored signing, often returning to the idea that Beckham's arrival might not only elevate the team's immediate chances in the upcoming season, but also influence the city's long-term sports culture. Conversations were rampant about which quarterbacks would thrive with Beckham on the roster and how defensive coordinators in the league might be forced to rethink their strategies. The narrative quickly morphed from rumor to a kind of collective daydream, with fans imagining game-winning touchdowns, highlight reels, and the sheer spectacle of Beckham performing under Pittsburgh lights. Local businesses reported a surge in activity as supporters stocked up on memorabilia, scarves, and jerseys, further cementing the sense that Beckham's rumored signing had already begun reshaping the city's atmosphere. Each hour brought new videos, new sightings, and new layers of excitement, as if the rumor itself had become a living, breathing entity, dominating headlines and conversations alike. Meanwhile, social media platforms became a whirlwind of reactions, speculations, and memes, with fans from across the country converging virtually to celebrate, debate, and imagine what Beckham's presence in Pittsburgh could mean. Every post seemed to spark 10 more, creating a cascade of digital energy that mirrored the tangible excitement on the streets. Hashtags like hashtag OBTPT, hashtag Steelers Dynasty, and hashtag OBJamania began trending in minutes, as the rumor spread faster than any official confirmation could keep pace. Football analysts, former players, and even celebrities joined the chorus, sharing opinions on how Beckham's explosive play style could integrate with the Steelers' existing roster, while highlighting potential matchups that could redefine the AFC North. The speculation extended beyond pure sports performance, touching upon marketing opportunities, sponsorships, and the broader cultural impact of a superstar seemingly committing to Pittsburgh. Comment threads overflowed with debates about jersey numbers, starting positions, and the chemistry Beckham might develop with quarterbacks both current and potential. Some skeptics questioned whether this whirlwind would translate into tangible victories, yet even they couldn't ignore the sheer momentum and energy the rumor had generated. The city's nightlife, radio shows, and online forums were dominated by one shared theme. Odell Beckham Jr. had arrived, or at the very least, He was on the brink of creating a seismic shift that would be felt far beyond the stadium. Whispers inside local sports bars told a story almost as thrilling as the rumor itself, as patrons speculated about how the Steelers might recalibrate their offensive schemes to maximize Beckham's legendary speed and hands. Coaches, coordinators, and even former players were cited in anonymous accounts suggesting that practice sessions would need to be completely reimagined to accommodate a talent like Beckham, whose career has been defined by highlight reel catches and game-changing plays. Analysts on television dissected every potential scenario, examining how his rumored presence might influence defensive formations, red zone efficiency, and the overall tempo of Pittsburgh's offense. Meanwhile, fan reactions were equally dramatic, ranging from tearful expressions of joy to exuberant street celebrations that lasted long into the night. The rumor surrounding ODELL Beckham Jr.'s imminent signing with the Steelers has effectively transformed Pittsburgh into a citywide theater of anticipation, where every glance, every conversation, and every social post carries the weight of collective imagination. Even as questions linger about contract details, potential fit within the offensive lineup, and the timing of an official announcement, the city seems to have already embraced the narrative as reality. Fans envision stadium-wide celebrations, highlight-worthy touchdowns, and a revitalized Steelers identity that could propel the team into a new era of competitiveness. The media frenzy has reached a point where speculation fuels speculation, creating layers of excitement that feed on themselves, leaving no aspect of Pittsburgh sports culture untouched. Businesses, schools, and community centers all become minor stages in this unfolding drama, reflecting the pervasive influence of a superstar rumored to be joining the city's most cherished team. Analysts continue to debate, fans continue to cheer, and every passing hour reinforces the idea that Beckham's potential arrival isn't merely a roster change. It is a moment of cultural resonance, a shared experience that unites strangers in awe and anticipation. The rumor, though unconfirmed, has already altered the city's rhythm, coloring conversations with hope, pride, and an unshakable sense of possibility, proving that in Pittsburgh, football is never just a game. It is a collective heartbeat, now pulsing with the promise of ODELL Beckham Jr. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Pittsburgh Steelers, make sure to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.